What's up, y'all? Capone Tony here, and guys, let's just get into it. Let's get into this new Aerith banner that just dropped. This is an interesting one. This is very interesting. I'm gonna do some rambling, and I'll just give my thoughts on it. So, first, the costume. The Floral Gown looks fantastic, just like every other costume in this game. The game just nails the cosmetics. She looks great. Just looks fantastic. Floral Gown, you get boost HP 10, which is always great for a costume. But this one, you get buff debuff extension. So buff debuff extension is finally hitting Aerith, which is interesting because a lot of people use Aerith because of her Sun Umbrella, which does debuff, a fantastic debuff for magic defense and physical defense. So you're gonna get 40% increased duration for that if you pull for this costume, which is pretty awesome. But also it's gonna help her new weapon. So she's got the Floral Wand. So for her weapon, I think the damage is kind of whatever. But for her debuff, she gets P-Def is decreased mid for 16 seconds, 5 additional seconds if cast again. 50, and only when its HP is above 50% or more, which obviously you're most likely always going to be above 50% or more. Wind resist is decreased, so you got a wind breach. It's low starting out, but once you get to OB6, it turns into high automatically. So, and then your R abilities are boost attack and wind potency, and maxes out at 5436, which is pretty insane. So this weapon, let's look at the special materia. So the special materia boost attack. That's kind of weird. Like, who the hell's going to use boost attack with Aerith? But anyway, attack boost wind is good. And then cure. So you're going to have an AoE cure slot for this weapon as well, which also makes it interesting. Even more interesting. So, man, this is pretty packed for a weapon. So boost attack and boost wind potency. Imagine pairing this with her, like, her Prism Rod, which is already doing crazy wind damage and has wind potency on it. Man. But the interesting is, you're only doing P-Def is decreased. So this is more of a support for, like, Sephiroth, for his Dark Heavens, and Yuffie's new weapon, for the banner that she has going on right now, because they're both physical wind. So that's another thing to consider. But man, if you can just make Aerith an all-out wind juggernaut if you have this weapon OB6, her Prism Rod OB6, and her Prism Dress, which has Wind Arcanum. So from that standpoint, it's pretty freaking insane. And the one thing I just forgot to mention right here, 3 ATB. We haven't had any weapons in the game like this, I don't think, yet, that have it, where it only costs 3 ATB. It usually costs 4. So that's another thing that's pretty insane about this weapon, is that even though you would have to debuff, let's say you did go with both wind weapons for Aerith, you would have to debuff to get that wind resist down and then cast. But that's the thing. It only takes 3 ATB to do it. So that's less time. You know, it's pretty damn good. But if you were to use this on the main hand, yeah, you would get the AoE cure, which is pretty great. So that would possibly replace a Fairy Tail, but Fairy Tail is still more potent than this cure slot spell. So that's another thing to think about. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what you would combine this with. Would you combine this with Prism Rod, or would you combine this with Umbrella? But Umbrella is doing half of the debuff that this is already doing. So would you? I don't know. Yeah, that's what I think of first, is when you combine this with Prism Rod, it turns into a freaking insane DPS, wind DPS. But if you just draw for this weapon based on the R abilities alone, this is insane. Like, would be insane for Yuffie, this would be insane for Sephiroth, this would be insane for Motor Drive Tifa. So that's things to consider too. But the thing is, the only reason I would say you would draw on a banner is for the costume first, because the weapon itself can be wishlisted later on. You don't need it right now because you can always get it later. But the costume, you will most likely not be able to get later, at least for not a very long time until this game does redraws or reruns or whatever. So, buff, debuff, extension. So, if I were to get this costume, it would replace probably my sun, or her beach costume essentially, which has HP and magic attack. So it would make her umbrella better. But do I need to do that right now? I'm not sure. I don't think I do. I think my Aerith is already fantastic. If you have an Aerith that has like OB6 umbrella, OB6 fairy tale, I mean, that's pretty damn good already. But if you want to evolve her kit, then this would help. I would think it does help. But I'm kind of conflicted right now. I'm not sure. So right now, I would say I'm probably leaning toward no, because I do have OB6 Fairy Tail and OB9 Umbrella. So, but this is pretty damn good. Like it's a pretty damn good weapon, especially because a lot of the stuff we're going to be facing soon is going to be wind resist or wind weakness related. So we're going to have obviously we're going to have a dungeon, like a dungeon event that's going to probably be a lot of bosses that are going to be weak to wind. And then we have these score battles going on in this Valentine's event that are obviously all just wind weaknesses too. So yeah, I think the banner is great. I think it really is good. I'm just kind of not sure about it right now. The thing is, we got until February 18th to make that decision. And yeah, I'm gonna think about it, because I do love Aerith too. I mean, just from the cosmetic standpoint, I think the cosmetic looks fantastic as well. I already have 5 Aerith costumes in this game. Like, do I need another one? Maybe. She's one of my favorite characters in video games. So, I mean, if you want to draw for it just based on that aspect, yeah, go for it. But man, this is an interesting one. It really is. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on this banner. Are you going to pull for Aerith, or is there some things I didn't consider when examining this banner? Just let me know in the comments below. And yeah, if you like this content, my Ever Crisis content, please give this video a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one. Later.